During the end credits of each episode, the image on the right side of the screen kind of squishes down a little bit, and they highlight in this part, while the credits are rolling at the end, they highlight these campaign screw-ups and their various PR disasters. So the end credits are like the best thing in the show. The end credits in one episode might be her ranting to her staff after a puff piece television interview turned out to be substantive, or her awkwardly trying to connect with high school students who are visiting the vice president's office. If you've seen the show, you know about this excellent trick, basically, that they do at the end. Here's kind of a perfect example of a Veep end credit. This is her greeting people at a party at the vice president's official residence.
So you want to mingle?
Yeah, let's go mingle the out of him.
Ernest Langeberry, Lifeboat Association.
Let's get a glass eye.
I am so happy you're here.
Jenny Armitage, Disabled Sports of America.
Just had triplets.
Oh, triplets. Wow. That must have hurt. Unless you had a C-section.
Terry Stringer, Center for Social Action.
He's a triathlete.
No, he's not.
But,
Hello?
Liam Miller, NASA.
okay, that's an acronym for National Aeronautics.
Stop it.
Good.
So late.
The Reverend Terrence Clark, Church of the Living Christ.
He's a baker.
Oh, Christ is risen.
Ken
He's a baker. Christ is risen. He's a triathlete. No, he's not. Selena Meyer, absolutely iconic American television figure from the great show Veep. Now, this is a person who is not a TV character. His name is Hovde, Eric Hovde, H-O-V-D-E. He is an actual person, not a TV person, who is running for an actual United States Senate seat in Wisconsin. He is trying to unseat Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin. And in Wisconsin politics circles right now, Eric Hovde's recent attempt to say the Pledge of Allegiance really emphatically, to make a big show out of really emphatically and like confrontationally saying the Pledge of Allegiance, has been set to the closing credits of Veep. Because once you see it, it's impossible to not think of it that way. Watch him try to make it through the pledge here.
I'm proud to be an American. I love my country. So let's say the Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Amen. God bless America. Go Slinger Speedway. Thanks, Eric. We're also blessed to be part of the greatest country in the history of mankind, America.
Is he waiting to the end of the marching band? Like he's maybe the part where he also belatedly realizes to put his hand on his heart. The Republican Party really desperately wants to take that Senate seat in Wisconsin. Again, that is the seat currently held by Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin. They want that seat. They really want to unseat her. The problem is that they have chosen this man as their candidate to try to do it. And he has succeeded in making national headlines as the Republican Senate candidate for Wisconsin. That's not necessarily an easy thing to do. But again, the problem is that he's made those headlines for things like this.
Well, if you're in a nursing home, you only have 5-6 month life expectancy. Almost nobody in a nursing home is in a point to vote.
Now, I am no political expert, but even someone who has never heard of the United States Senate before could probably suss out that tried to clarify his comments. This week, he reiterated his belief that, quote, a large percentage of nursing home residents, quote, are not in the mental capacity to vote. Now, that's cleaning it up. Now, when I said old people in nursing homes shouldn't be allowed to vote, everybody made that sound so bad. Let me clarify. What I meant was that a large percentage of old people in nursing homes shouldn't be allowed to vote because they don't have the mental capacity for it. There, is that better? Now, I should mention that description of the world's most inept effort to clean up a political disaster, that account of that I just quoted from is me quoting from a national story, a New York Times story, where I think the headline helps understand Mr. Havdi's situation even better. Because the headline on that story is this, quote, lawsuit puts fresh focus on Eric Havdi's comments about older voters. What is this lawsuit, you say? Turns out that at the same time that he has been questioning the mental capacity of nursing home residents to vote, he is also the head of a bank that is a co-defendant in a California lawsuit that accuses a senior living facility of elder abuse, negligence, and wrongful death. He is a co-defendant in that lawsuit. His bank is a co-defendant because it turns out that Eric Havdi, in addition to running for Senate in Wisconsin, he runs a bank that owns a nursing home that in California has given rise to a fairly gruesome elder abuse and wrongful death lawsuit. At which point you're thinking, wow, Maddow, that puts a way worse, way darker spin on his already inexplicable repeated comments about how we shouldn't allow people in nursing homes to vote because how dare they even try, right? But you're also thinking, wait, why did you say California? I thought he was running for Senate in Wisconsin. Yes. Yes. This is another problem that the local news in Wisconsin has been trying to tell people about this guy from the very beginning. Back in May 2023, quote, Eric Havdi may run for Senate in Wisconsin, but he's living large in Laguna Beach, California. He lives in California. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel basically running the red flag all the way up the flagpole for the Republican Party about this guy before they picked him. I mean, and the detail on it just makes it worse. Hey, look, Eric Havdi was named by the Orange County Business Journal as one of its 500 most influential people in Orange County in 2020. In Orange County, California, where he lives in Laguna Beach, which is 2,000 miles away from Wisconsin. He does run a bank. It is a Utah-based bank. He runs it from where he lives in Laguna Beach, California, where indeed his bank is named a co-defendant in a nursing home elder abuse lawsuit. And he is running for Senate in Wisconsin, where 18% of the population is over the age of 65. He's running there by saying repeatedly that people in nursing homes shouldn't be allowed to vote because, hey, it's not like they have it together. At most, they've got 6 months to live. Why should they be voting? Amen. Go Slinger Speedway. Okay, Eric. And I should underscore here how badly the Republican Party wants to win this Senate seat away from Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin. They really want to win this seat. But inexplicably, this is the guy they picked. And it's not just Wisconsin. This is a live dynamic right now in the Republican Party in way more places than you would think. Here, for example, is the AP headline on the Republicans' U.S. Senate candidate in Pennsylvania. David McCormick is gearing up for a Senate run in Pennsylvania, but he lives in Connecticut. That seems bad. I mean, if you think about a Pennsylvania Senate race, right, you will recall it wasn't that long ago that Republicans lost a shot at a winnable U.S. Senate seat. Last time around, last election cycle, when they ran Republican candidate Mehmet Oz, right? Republicans ran Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, for that seat in Pennsylvania, and Democrats needled him relentlessly about the fact that he kind of lived in New Jersey. And so what's he doing running in Pennsylvania? Well, now the Republicans are going to try again in Pennsylvania, except this time they're running a guy who lives in Connecticut. To try to maybe head off the same thing happening again, like what happened with Dr. Mehmet Oz. They have developed a backstory for their candidate this time around, who lives in Connecticut. They've decided that he's going to describe himself as someone who started with nothing, who grew up on a family farm in Pennsylvania. Did he start with nothing? Did he grow up on a family farm in Pennsylvania? What do you think? Quote, Mr. McCormick has explicitly said that he grew up on a farm. He claimed that he had, quote, started with nothing and that he, quote, didn't have anything. He and his campaign have recently described his parents as school teachers. In fact, Mr. McCormick is the son of a well-regarded college president who later became chancellor of higher education systems in Pennsylvania and in Minnesota. David McCormick largely grew up at what is now Bloomsburg University in the president's sprawling hilltop residence, which students called the President's Mansion. Or he started with nothing and grew up on a family farm. So in Wisconsin, Republicans are running a Selena Meyer understudy who is from California, whose bank is being sued for elder abuse and who says don't let people in nursing homes vote. In Pennsylvania, Republicans are running a guy who lives in Connecticut who grew up in a literal president's mansion and says it was a family farm where he was so poor. But wait, there's more. In Montana, Republicans really want to take the U.S. Senate seat there that is currently held by popular Democratic Senator Jon Tester. One of the things that makes Jon Tester really popular in a largely rural state like Montana is that Senator Tester is, for real, a real farmer, drives the tractor and everything. Republicans have decided to run someone against Senator Jon Tester in Montana, who is a person from Minnesota, who grew up in the suburbs of St. Paul. Since he has been running against Jon Tester, though, he has made a big deal of saying that he grew up near farmland. Turns out there was maybe farmland near the multi-million-dollar lake house he grew up in suburban St. Paul. So that's pretty much just like being a farmer. This follows another quite unusual controversy for this Montana Senate candidate in which he either dropped a loaded gun in a parking lot at Glacier National Park, and the gun went off when it hit the ground, and he thereby shot himself in the arm. Or he didn't really shoot himself in the arm by dropping a gun in the parking lot at Glacier National Park, but he nevertheless went to the hospital anyway. And while he did tell a U.S. park ranger that he dropped a gun in that parking lot and shot himself that day, he was actually lying about that to the ranger because really he was trying to conceal the secret truth that he had an unreported war wound that he didn't want anybody to know about. But whatever happened, it was definitely near farmland. There was very near. You could smell it nearby in the vicinity. Can I tell you, there's another one, Michigan. Michigan Republicans are thrilled that Democratic U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow is retiring in that state. They would love to take that Senate seat in Michigan, and so cue the headlines out of Michigan. Quote, Michigan Republican candidate caught living in Florida. This is about Republican Michigan U.S. Senate candidate Mike Rogers. His name is... Where is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, indeed? In Arizona, the Senate seat there is another one that Republicans would absolutely love to pick up with Kyrsten Sinema retiring. The Republican Senate candidate in Arizona, Kari Lake, she does appear to live in Arizona, which is a big plus for this crop of Republican Senate candidates, kind of a notable distinction, in fact. But in the case of Arizona, you're going to need more than that. Because this, for example, is the new ad that the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee just put out on Kari Lake as a Senate candidate in Arizona and the issue of abortion rights in that state.
I'm incredibly thrilled that we are going to have a great law that's already on the books. I believe it's ARS 133603. So it will prohibit abortion in Arizona, paving the way and setting course for other states to follow.
This law passed. The Arizona Supreme Court said this is the law of Arizona, but unfortunately, the people running our state have said we're not going to enforce it. So it's really political theater. We don't have that law as much as many of us wish we did.
She's not enforcing the law, so we don't have that law. The only people who can enforce that law are our sheriffs. And we need to start asking the sheriffs if they're willing to enforce that.
I haven't changed, actually, no.
Kari Lake is the Republican Party's best idea of who they should run for the United States Senate seat that they really want to take this year in Arizona. But, I mean, clock the context, the specifics that she was offering there in that clip. She wants individual sheriffs in Arizona to start enforcing the state's 1864 abortion ban. Sheriffs and sheriff deputies. Get out there, get to it, get out on the streets, find out who's pregnant. We want the sheriffs enforcing this. Watch when you cross county lines. There's a lot going on in the Republican Party right now. And I know that the party's presidential nominee, their most recent former president, Donald Trump, I know he sucks up all the oxygen in the room, and for obvious reason. He gets all the coverage, he gets all the commentary. But note what is going on in the Republican Party in the Trump era apart from him. I mean, just look at Arizona for a second. In Arizona, they are not only running Kari Lake for Senate. This weekend, Arizona Republicans just chose their state's representatives to the National Republican Party. You know, it's called the RNC, the Republican National Committee. It is actually a committee. Every state sends 2 people to be part of the committee that makes up the RNC, that makes up the National Republican Party. Every state gets 2 choices. This weekend, Arizona Republicans picked their 2 choices. They decided their 2 choices would be this person, who was literally expelled from the state legislature recently after only being there for about 3 months. Here's how that was described in the Arizona Republic. Quote, she was expelled from the Republican-controlled House just 3 months into her term. This after she staged an all-day live-streamed legislative hearing at which her witnesses talked about the many ways in which our elections were supposedly stolen. The highlight was a Scottsdale insurance agent who slimed dozens of public officials and private citizens, making preposterous evidence-free accusations that they all accepted bribes from the Sinaloa drug cartel. The House Ethics Committee unanimously concluded that the state legislator not only knew what that insurance agent was likely to say during that hearing, but that the legislator actually took steps to hide the details from House leadership. Then she lied about it to the ethics panel. Now she's a top-ranking official in the Republican Party. She's one of Arizona's 2 representatives to the Republican National Committee, chosen this weekend by the Arizona Republican Party. But they remember, they get to pick 2. The second representative Arizona Republicans just chose to represent their state at the RNC is this person, who is a very special variety of Arizona Republican state senator. Here's how Lori Roberts at the Arizona Republic describes him today. Quote, meet Jake Hoffman, Arizona's new Republican National Committee man. This Queen Creek Republican burst into public view in 2020 when he ran an internet troll farm, paying teenagers to post conservative talking points and baseless conspiracy theories on social media, all aimed at getting then-President Donald Trump reelected. The Washington Post in September 2020 exposed Hoffman's Rally Forge, a digital marketing firm where his job was to pay teenagers, some of them minors, to set up fake personas and blanket social media with thousands of nearly identical posts aimed at undermining confidence in the validity of the election and downplaying the impact of COVID-19. In other words, Jake Hoffman wanted to fool you into thinking these were real people spontaneously expressing deeply held conservative beliefs instead of what they were. A group of kids he was paying to deceive you. The posts cast doubt on the integrity of mail-in ballots and said that Joe Biden is, quote, being controlled by behind-the-scenes individuals who want to take America down the dangerous path toward socialism. Quote, it's the kind of thing you might expect to come out of Russia. Instead, it came out of Phoenix. Or more specifically, Jake Hoffman's secret cell of paid teenage trolls. That troll farm in Phoenix was exposed in September of 2020. The same gentleman went on in December of 2020 to be one of the fake electors from Arizona for Trump. He, in fact, is one of the fake electors who was just criminally indicted in Arizona for his alleged role in that scheme. So he was indicted last week and named Republican National Committee man for the state of Arizona just days later. So it's not like they didn't know he'd been indicted. They knew he was indicted, then they picked him afterwards. There are at least 53 people who have now been criminally charged with participating in the effort to keep Trump in power after he lost re-election in 2020. And I'm not talking about the people who physically attacked Congress to try to intimidate and physically stop Congress from certifying the vote count on January 6th. I mean, you can hive all of those hundreds of people off. There are still at least 53 Republican Party officials and lawyers and activists who are facing felony criminal counts other than Donald Trump himself. And this is me making my case to you. I think it is an underappreciated part of the politics of the Republican Party in the Trump era. I think it is an underappreciated part of politics in our country right now as Trump is trying to return to the presidency again, that not only is he in the dock facing felony criminal charges as he tries to return to the White House, but also in the dock are the chair or former chair of the state Republican parties in Arizona and Michigan and Georgia and Nevada, and serving Republican elected officials in all of those states, and they are all swing states. Trump advisor Peter Navarro is in jail right now. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court again rejected another request from him to get out of prison. He is currently serving time in prison for refusing to testify about his role in Trump's efforts to overthrow the government. Trump attorney Jeff Clark just learned today that in his disbarment proceedings in California, the Disciplinary Council for the State Bar Association is arguing to the court that there is no sanction other than disbarment that is suitable for Jeff Clark given what he did. Quote, "It would be inconsistent with our duty to the being on trial for multiple felonies is an amazing and unprecedented and frankly astonishing spectacle." But stick a pin in that idea of astonishing, right? Because the crime he is alleged to have quarterbacked to try to keep himself in power despite losing re-election, that crime is now a sprawling nationwide scandal that has resulted in dozens of Republican officials in almost all the swing states being criminally charged, and in all of the prominent lawyers involved in that effort either being criminally charged or having their law licenses put at risk, or both. And yes, Trump himself will be back in court tomorrow, and there's stuff to know about that. We're gonna get to that tonight. But no matter what happens to him in his own felony cases and in his own political trajectory, do not lose sight of what is happening to the Republican Party while they have been drafting off him in the lead. Because it is an astonishing story on its own. And if all that is not enough, I might have something else that tops all of it. Even if, you know, Mr. Veep back there flubbing the Pledge of Allegiance at the top of his lungs in Wisconsin, I might have something that tops even that. And that story we've got for you here next. Stay with us.
Type 2 diabetes? Discover the Ozempic Trizone. Ozempic! I got the power of 3. I lowered my A1C, CV risk, and lost some weight.
In studies, the majority of people reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it.
I'm under 7.
Ozempic lowers the risk of major cardiovascular events such as stroke, heart attack, or death in adults also with known heart disease.
I'm lowering my risk.
Adults lost up to 14 pounds.
I lost some weight.
Ozempic isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. Don't share needles or pens or reuse needles. Don't take Ozempic if you or your family ever had medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2 or if allergic to it. Stop Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Gallbladder problems may occur. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase low blood sugar risk. Side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems. Living with type 2 diabetes?
That's about the power of 3 with Ozempic.
A wide leaf filter? It's well designed, efficient. I appreciate that.
Leaf Filter's technology keeps debris out of your gutters for good. Guaranteed.
What more could you ask for?
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
One question. What's my new name?
MI6 agent Imogen Salter, known to be erratic and unpredictable. The target currently at large, we believe, is planning a major attack.
She's a monster.
It's not my job to think of her as a monster. It's my job to get her to tell me what she knows.
FX is The Veil.
Streaming April. Only on Hulu.
Smile, you found it. The feeling of finding psoriasis can't filter out the real you. So go ahead, live unfiltered with the one and only Sotyktu, a once-daily pill for moderate to severe plaque psoriasis and the chance at clear or almost clear skin. It's like the feeling of finding you're so ready for your close-up, or finding you don't have to hide your skin, just your background. Once daily Sotyktu was proven better, getting more people clearer skin than the leading pill. Don't take if you're allergic to Sotyktu. Serious reactions can occur. Sotyktu can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB. Serious infections, cancers including lymphoma, muscle problems, and changes in certain labs have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, liver or kidney problems, high triglycerides, or had a vaccine or plan to. Sotyktu is a TYK2 inhibitor. TYK2 is part of the JAK family. It's not known if Sotyktu has the same risks as JAK inhibitors. Find what plaque psoriasis has been hiding. There's only one Sotyktu, so ask for it by name. So